Hi, my name is Laura Chu, and my project that I have been working on for the past 2 years is on novel combinations of plant bioactive chemicals enhance lenalidomide's efficacy against colon cancer cells as measured by apoptosis migration and immune regulation. I would like to acknowledge my research mentor, Dr. Wei Zhu, and my research advisor, Dr. Allison Wesley. Approximately 39.5% of men and women will be diagnosed with cancer sometime in their lifetime. Individuals who have cancer normally experience extreme side effects from chemotherapy. Many chemotherapy drugs are able to fight cancer very effectively, but usually decreases patients' immune system which causes them to get sick very easily. Past research shows that these chemicals would be good flavonoids due to their antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and anti-cancer properties. Last year, my research only tested independent chemicals on cell survival rate and migration, and I found that curcumin was the most effective when tested on cell survival rate through MTT assay. In addition, luteolin was the most effective when tested on migration. After testing all these chemicals independently, I combined all possible combinations of natural chemicals, but didn't combine them with lenalidomide. All combinations were statistically significant, however, there was not one combination that stood out. This year's research, I tested the combinations of the natural chemicals with lenalidomide in order to see if these combinations improve the efficacy of lenalidomide. Since these chemicals come from natural fruits and vegetables, there will be minimal side effects. Therefore, I hypothesized that in combination with lenalidomide, the use of resveratrol, curcumin, and luteolin will lower the colon cancer cell survival rate, decrease the migration of colon cancer cells, increase the expression of p53 and caspase, and decrease expression of MMP9. The experiment started with the dilution of chemicals in ethanol. The chemicals had a one-time dilution, and each test was ran over a 24-hour period before the results were gathered and analyzed. MTT assay is used to find cell survival rate of the treated cancer cells. On the graph, the bar shows results of when different chemical combinations are treated on colon cancer cells. The lower cell survival rate means that more apoptosis occurred. Lenalidomide's lowered survival rate is 34%. On the graph, it can be shown that lenalidomide combined with resveratrol and curcumin cell survival rate is lower than lenalidomide's independently. In addition, the treatment of lenalidomide combined with resveratrol and luteolin decreased the cell survival rate to 18%, which is significantly lower than lenalidomide independently. The combinations indicated by the two bars outlined in orange were the only ones that had a cell survival rate lower than lenalidomide independently, which shows that these combinations increase the efficacy of lenalidomide. LDH assay is used to find the chemical cytotoxicity. The greater the cytotoxicity percentage, the more toxic the chemicals are to the cancer cells, which means the more apoptosis occurred. Lenalidomide cytotoxicity rate is 9%. On the graph, lenalidomide combined with resveratrol and curcumin cytotoxicity is higher than lenalidomide by 45%. While the other combinations have a greater cytotoxicity than lenalidomide, this combination was the most effective, showing its increased efficacy of lenalidomide. Caspase is a protein that is released from cells after they have gone through apoptosis. The higher the caspase activity, the more intrinsic apoptosis occurred. While the MTT assay tests apoptosis, testing caspase activity is a more specific way of finding out if the chemicals killed the cells through caspase protein. Lenalidomide had a 10% increase of caspase activity when compared with control. Specifically, when lenalidomide was combined with resveratrol and luteolin, the caspase activity increased to 430%, and the caspase activity was greater than lenalidomide. The best combination in this test is consistent with the results from the MTT assay, showing that this combination acts on apoptosis through the caspase protein. All combinations had a higher caspase activity than lenalidomide independently, which shows that the combinations increase efficacy of lenalidomide. p53 is a cytokine that correlates with apoptosis. An increased p53 expression means more apoptosis occurred because there was more p53 released. lenalidomide had a 46% increase of p53 activity when compared to the control. When lenalidomide was combined with resveratrol and luteolin, the p53 expression activity increased to 236%. Also, the p53 expression is greater than lenalidomide. The combination of lenalidomide, resveratrol, and luteolin have caused apoptosis through p53, but also caspase 3, 7, and 10, which we found in the previous test. All combinations increase p53 expression higher than lenalidomide independently, which shows that the combinations increase efficacy of lenalidomide. Migration is tested by a migration assay. The greater the percent increase means that the cells between the band grew back less. On the graph, the bar shows results of when different chemical combinations were treated on colon cancer cells. Lenalidomide had a 3% increase of bandwidth when compared to the control. When lenalidomide was combined with resveratrol and luteolin, it increased bandwidth to 87%, which is greater than lenalidomide independently. All combinations had a greater increase of bandwidth than lenalidomide independently, which shows that the combinations increase the efficacy of lenalidomide. MMP9 is a cytokine that correlates with migration. A decrease in MMP9's expression equates to the inhibition of migration. Lenalidomide had a 5.6% decrease of MMP9 expression when compared to the control. Specifically, when lenalidomide was combined with resveratrol and luteolin, it decreased MMP9's expression to 78.6%, which is a greater decrease when compared to lenalidomide independently. These results show that lenalidomide plus resveratrol plus luteolin inhibits migration through the MMP9 protein, which is consistent with the results gathered from the migration assay that shows that this combination was more effective when it came to migration. All combinations had a greater decrease of MMP9 expression than lenalidomide independently, which contributes to the idea that the combinations increase efficacy of lenalidomide. After running all these tests and analyzing results, I have concluded that all combinations increase lenalidomide's efficacy through all tests. While the combination of lenalidomide plus resveratrol plus luteolin is the most beneficial towards killing and preventing the regrowth of cancer cells, the combination of lenalidomide, luteolin, and curcumin was the weakest combination in terms of efficacy. These conclusions show that the combination of resveratrol and luteolin have the ability to enhance lenalidomide's efficacy, which correlates to decreasing side effects for patients. Limitations of the study was that only one cell line was studied. Given that the chemicals were diluted in ethanol, levels of apoptosis might have been due to the toxic properties of ethanol. Further study ideas would be to test chemicals in other solvents, and more cell lines should be tested, and in addition to expand the study to in vivo testing. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and these are my references.